All right, so we're going to go ahead and get started now that it is 5:30. Thank you so much for joining us for the Virtual College Exploration for all Illinois students, sponsored by the Illinois Association of College Admission Counseling and StripeScan. Again, thank you for being here. I just wanted to go over a few housekeeping reminders before we get started. You can use the Q&A button on your screen to type your questions to our presenter at any time today. Your camera and microphone are off, so panelists cannot see or hear you. This is one of the many different sessions happening, so please be sure to check out the full schedule at IACAC.org. This presentation is being recorded, and we will be having this available within a week on the same website, IACAC.org. And now, without further ado, I'm going to hand this off to Andrew from Oakland University.
Thank you very much. All right, well, my name is Andrew or Drew Huff. I am an admissions advisor from Oakland University, and thank you very much for joining me today as we talk about Oakland, who we are, where we are, what we're all about, and just a little bit in general about us as a university. So I'm going to go through and talk about some different things. Just before I get started here, if you are interested, if you have a smartphone, you can scan this QR code that's on the main screen here, and that will take you to a form that you can fill out to receive more information from Oakland University over the next couple of months here as we move through our recruitment cycle for upcoming for the fall of 2021. This QR code will also be available again at the end of the presentation, and I will also be posting a link in the chat Q&A box as well. So without further ado, let's get started. So Oakland University is located over in Rochester, Michigan. So we are about 45 minutes north of downtown Detroit and 45 minutes south of downtown Flint. We are right in the heart of the Metro Detroit area and have a lot of different things around us, but just some general snapshot points about OU. We are about 19,000 students strong. We're a medium-sized institution with about 15,500 of those students being undergraduate and about 3,000 of those students being graduate and doctoral level students in our institution. We have an average class size of about 35 students per course, and of course we have over 300 student organizations that students can be a part of. So those are just some main points. We are also a very liberal arts and science based institution. We have tons of different majors that I'll go into, but we have a main focus on liberal arts and sciences as well as specialized schools in engineering, business, education, nursing, and health sciences. And I'll talk about all the different majors that we offer in a moment here too, but just as a general overview, that's kind of what we're focused in. We are also very heavily focused in undergraduate research opportunities. So the advantage to applying to OU, there are plenty of them, but just some of the main ones. We have a rolling admission, so that means we do not have any sort of deadline that students need to meet in order to be admitted to the university. You can really apply at any point and still be considered for admission. We have sometimes students applying all the way up until the summer right before they would be starting their freshman year. We generally encourage students to get that application process done earlier rather than later, but it is available and open. There's no deadline where you're not going to be able to apply to Oakland as long as you do it in a timely manner. We are test optional for the fall of 2021. Fall of 2022 remains to be seen, but for the fall of 2021, we are test optional for students who have at least a 2.5 cumulative high school GPA, which is also our main admissions criteria requirement. So really, you do not need that unless you fall below that 2.5 and still would like to apply. We generally would require either an SAT or ACT score, but in light of the COVID-19 situation, we are not requiring test scores for admission. And then we are also completely fee-free. We have no enrollment fees, no application fee. We are not on any sort of common application. We just have our own application on our website, oakland.edu/apply. There's no waiver that you need to get for it. It is just a free application for you to do. It takes roughly 20 to 30 minutes to do it, depending on how much of the not required additional optional information that you put on there, including the essay. The essay is on the application, but is not required for students to do. So depending on how long it takes, that is really going to be the only cost to you, will be the time that it takes to actually do the application. So what do we need from a freshman that is applying, for a first year student that's applying straight out of high school? Really, there's two main things. It's going to be the online application, like I just mentioned, and it's going to be the high school transcript from the student for our records for the student to be able to show what cumulative GPA they got in high school. As I mentioned, test scores are optional. The transcript, though, can be sent in a variety of different ways. High schools can send it to us specifically through a third-party service, like Parchment is a very popular one, or Naviance. It can also just be emailed directly to me or to the university via email from either the counselor or from you, the student, or your family member. We can accept the transcript in a number of different ways, just really as long as we get it. And you can find out more information about how to send that and where to send it at oakland.edu/apply, but my email will be at the end of this presentation and can be utilized to send any transcripts as well. What do we need as far as criteria goes? So generally, we're starting to admit or consider students for admission at a 2.5 cumulative high school GPA. On average, though, our students are coming in with around a 3.5 cumulative GPA from high school. And then since the test scores are not required, we don't have a minimum for those, but on average, we're generally seeing students come in with about an 1130 on the SAT or a 23 on the ACT if they've taken that. You can find more information about those criteria and things on oakland.edu/future students. We do accept college credit in a number of different ways as well. So if you're taking AP classes and tests, or IB classes and tests, or maybe even some of the college level examinations, the CLEP tests, we can accept those to utilize those as college credit here at Oakland. So say you take AP psychology and you get a 3 on this AP psychology test at the end of the year, that can be used directly as the Psychology 1000 requirement at Oakland. So you don't have to take that class at Oakland. It's already taken care of by your advanced placement credit. Same goes for some of the IB and the CLEP tests too. Really, you can find information about exactly what scores you need on each to count as college credit at oakland.edu/college credit. Our school code is listed there as well. But you can also, some students are taking dual enrollment classes. Maybe you're taking classes at a community college near you, or you're in an early middle college program where you are taking classes at a college while you're still in high school. We can also accept those, and you'll still be considered a freshman student and get freshman scholarships, but we can accept that so you don't have to take those same classes again once you actually start at OU. That kind of takes me into my next point here, is that we are a very transfer-friendly institution, and we want to emphasize that to students who are possibly considering the option of starting at a community college or another institution and then coming to a 4-year later, or going to a different 4-year later. We are an option for that as well. So our online application is, again, totally free for students to do. All we need is the college transcripts from whatever institution that you've attended. We're generally looking for about 24 credits, but if a student has less than that, they are still admissible. We would just also need to see your high school transcript on top of the college transcripts too. For our criteria, again, we're looking at about a 2.5 to be considered for admission, but on average, our transfer students are coming in with about a 3.2 and 24 credits. And if a student was to, not meet that 24 credit requirement and also send it to us, the high school transcripts, we would need to see a 2.5 in both high school and college for the student to be considered for admission. But there are plenty of options for transfer students at Oakland, and we encourage students to consider that possibility if they're not sure they want to start at a 4-year right out of high school. Obviously, scholarships and affordability are a very big part of the college decision-making process, and we want to make sure that we are as transparent as possible for those students, and telling them what they can get and what kind of help they might need for paying for school. So we have our Office of Student Financial Services, and there's plenty of ways to talk to them, either by setting up a virtual appointment or just contacting them via email or phone. They're always there to help students and available to give that assistance as needed. And obviously, we want to talk about the cost of attendance here at OU. So this is a big part of the college decision-making process, and we have our average numbers here. So on average, students are paying around $13,575 for tuition. So that's your classes, and then around $10,639 for housing, coming out to a grand total per year of about $24,000, just over $24,000. So it's a big number. That number is, of course, before any sort of scholarships or grants or aid, any of that is applied. So that's important to note. And there are a couple of other things I want to note about this too, but mainly, as well as on top of the different parts of the cost of attendance. Housing is optional for students, so a student does not have to live on campus. Some students may choose to get an off-campus apartment when they start, which may be a little bit more cost effective. Some students may have a family member that lives close and be able to commute to campus, and that's totally possible. So the housing cost is not required or mandatory for students to do. And the other thing I want to note about these is that they are all inclusive costs. So what that means is we have absolutely no additional fees for any of our costs on campus. So when you're paying for your classes, you are also paying for everything else that you might see as a fee at another institution. So there's no fee to pay when you are parking your car on campus. Freshmen can have cars on campus for no charge. Any student can have their car on campus for no charge. There's no fee to, deposit to put down to be enrolled, or fee to pay to use the recreation center, or fees to use any of the labs, or there's no fee to register for your classes or go to an orientation. There's nothing like that. All of that is included. And it's all inclusive for housing as well. So when you are paying to live on campus, you're also paying for your meal plan. That number that we just looked at, that is inclusive with your housing and your meal plan for campus. So you don't have to pay for laundry when you are going and living on campus. There's nothing additional that you have to pay for. Really, the only things that you would be looking at would be any personal costs like your own groceries and those types of things, and paying for textbooks. And textbooks are expensive, but there are plenty of ways to make that experience a little bit more cost effective, a little bit cheaper for yourself too. But this is kind of where we rank among other schools within the state of Michigan. So obviously these are some other schools that you may be looking at if you're looking and going out of state into Michigan. And this is kind of where we rank among the top, the 15 public institutions in the state. You can see our tuition is a little bit more expensive than some of the schools below us on this list, but the reason for that is because we don't have any of those mandatory fees. So there's nothing on top of that tuition that you're paying for. We don't want to nickel and dime every student for all these random things that occur throughout your time at college. You should really just have to worry about paying for your classes and housing, and then not have to worry about the cost of other things too. So we want to take that burden off of you. Obviously, there are plenty of ways to help pay for those costs of attendance, those things that you need to pay for. And one of the big things that we offer is our scholarships. So these is not all of the scholarships that we offer. These are scholarships that are automatically applied to students who apply to the institution and who show academic merit. This is where the test scores are actually going to start coming into play, though. As I said, they're not required for admission, but we will be requiring them for some of our merit-based scholarships. You can see the first level scholarship there, the University Recognition Annual Award, does not require a test score, but does require at least a 3.0 GPA. And then, of course, as you move up in GPA and in test score, you can be awarded a higher award. And an important thing to note about the numbers in this chart is they are annual amounts. So that's the number you would be getting per year for 4 years. If you were awarded the Distinguished Scholar Award, you would be getting $5,500 per year for 4 years. Another important thing I want to talk about with these scholarships is they are non-competitive and they are automatic, like I mentioned. So you do not have to pay any fees for applying to these scholarships, or there is no application for these scholarships. Your application to the university is your application to these scholarships. Once we get your test scores and your GPA in and everything, we automatically consider you for these scholarships. And they are non-competitive, meaning you don't have to compete against other students for these. If you meet the criteria for the scholarship, you're going to get the scholarship. And if you get one scholarship and you send in an updated GPA or an updated test score that moves you into a higher scholarship category, we move you into that scholarship category and get you the higher amount of scholarship money. So those are all important things to know. And then something I want to say about the SAT as well is if you've taken it already, send us a score. We encourage you to do that. If you haven't, you can still apply, and then we can receive that test score later. You don't have to wait to apply. Apply now and then send the test score later if you haven't taken it yet. That's just something I wanted to point out really quick. We do offer transfer student scholarships as well. So our transfer students have opportunities. These are a little bit different. These are 2-year awards. I don't want to spend a ton of time on these, but there's plenty of awards that students that are transferring from another institution, either a community college or a 4-year college, can be awarded. We do offer, and this is something very specific for our out-of-state students. I know the slide's a little bit wordy, but we do offer what we call our non-resident award. So this is for students that live outside of the state of Michigan. You can be awarded the non-resident award as long as you have a cumulative GPA of a 2.5 or higher, and you are not a Michigan resident and either a citizen or a permanent resident. And some students that are permanent residents or citizens of Canada or Mexico may qualify as well. But basically what this award does is it completely covers the cost differential between in-state and out-of-state tuition. So we do have out-of-state tuition rates, but if you are awarded this award, you will be paying in-state tuition rates. So out-of-state students pay in-state tuition. You don't have to worry about that. We just want you to be able to get all of your information in by March 1st, which is our priority scholarship deadline. That's not a hard deadline, but we would like to see everything in by then for scholarship considerations. Another important and cool thing about this is just that you will need to live on campus for this award, at least for your first 2 years on campus. You must live in on-campus housing, which is a good experience and a good opportunity, and probably something many out-of-state students are considering doing anyway. So that is something important to note, and you can go to oakland.edu/scholarships to find out more about all of these scholarships that I've mentioned so far. We do also offer need-based grants for students. So hopefully you were thinking about doing the FAFSA application that opened up on October 1st. So that is open and available for students across the country to do. And we accept that information and utilize that for our own grants that we offer. So you may also receive scholarships and grants from the federal or state governments, but Oakland also offers this to students. So students with less than an estimated family contribution, which is a number that's determined by the FAFSA, that's determined, how much money your family could realistically contribute to college education for you. That number is determined, and if that number is less than $8,000, we can offer you this, which is the Golden Grizzlies tuition guarantee. This fully covers tuition, whatever is left over after any other scholarships that you might get and after you pay that estimated family contribution. So if your estimated family contribution is $4,000, you pay that $4,000 toward your tuition. If you get another scholarship, you can subtract that from your tuition. And then of course, anything that's left over that you cannot pay, we pay the rest of. We completely take that off of your balance for your cost of your classes. We do also offer our Golden Grant, which is same exact thing. Basically, you have to have a less than $8,000 EFC. Only difference is that you do also need a 3.0 GPA for both of these grants. The Golden Grant is $5,000 a year for 4 years, and that is again toward your tuition, so that can be stacked on top of the tuition guarantee and other scholarships that you've received. And the OU Housing Grant, which is specifically for the cost of on-campus living. So that grant you get, again, 3.0 GPA, less than $8,000 EFC. You could get this grant, which is $5,000 per year for 4 years, directly toward housing, which, looking at the housing number, is just under half of housing. So it's a big chunk of the housing cost. So that will help out a lot if you could be awarded that grant. And you can find information about all of these at oakland.edu/financial services. And outside of scholarships and admission and everything, we want to stress that you belong here, and there are plenty of reasons why. Oakland is a really great and thriving student life and campus life for our students, whether they are from the general area around Oakland or they're from completely across the country. There are places for all of our students. One of the ways we do that is by offering over 140 different undergraduate programs that students can major and study in. So those are going to include a lot of different areas. Our College of Arts and Sciences, that's going to include your soft sciences like psychology and anthropology, social sciences, philosophy, but also it's going to include math and science, chemistry, pre-medical studies, a lot of different areas all within the College of Arts and Sciences, including our School of Music, Theater, and Dance, School of Business, marketing, accounting, general management, operations management, a lot of different areas there, education, that's secondary ed and elementary education, engineering and computer science, health sciences, and then of course, nursing too. And you can find a full list of all of the 140 majors that we offer at oakland.edu/careers, and it has a list of all of the majors and descriptions for each of them as well. We do also offer over 130 graduate and certificate programs all the way up to the doctoral level, and we do have a med school on campus as well. We like to consider our classroom experience very personalized. So in normal circumstances, right now we have a large percentage of our classes being held online, but in normal times we would have very small class sizes, keeping it so that you can have good relationships with your peers and with your professors and faculty. We don't like the larger lecture halls in general. We like them a little bit more right now for our classes that are in person, but we have a lot of opportunities for students to get that one-on-one interaction with their professional faculty. And an important thing to note, we don't have any sort of teaching assistants teaching classes at Oakland or teaching any of the main lectures. All of them are taught by actual professionals in the field. So that is important to note. We want to make sure that you get the classroom and academic experience that you want. We do have a thriving student life as well. So we have, like I said, over 19,000 students, 300 different student organizations, more than 300 different student organizations in areas like Greek life. We have 17 fraternities and sororities. We have academic-based clubs. We have faith and religion-based clubs, athletic clubs, clubs for interest-based things, video game club, chess club, all kinds of different things, juggling club. There's a ton of different areas that students can get involved in. And we do have 18 Division I men's and women's athletic teams that do compete in the Horizon League, which has a lot of schools around the Midwest, including University of Illinois, Chicago. So there's a lot of teams from around that we play in all of our different sports. And that player there, that's Kendrick Nunn, he was actually a player at Oakland, just graduated a couple years ago, and he's currently playing in the NBA Finals on the Miami Heat. So that's really cool for him and for the university too. So you can find information about all the different options for campus life and different ways to get involved at oakland.edu/campus life. Obviously, we want to stress that you can get connections beyond the classroom too, either in those organizations and living on campus. So that's definitely an opportunity that we consider out-of-state students to consider. We have about 3,400 students that live on campus. So that number is, pretty small in comparison to the amount of students that we have at Oakland. So there's a lot of commuter students from the Detroit metropolitan area that travel from home to campus every day. And that's one of the reasons that I really like Oakland, and I was a student at Oakland when I was an undergrad as well. So, and I came from a very small town over on the other side of the state of Michigan. I wanted to go to a school where I could get that big college feel, but I also wanted somewhere I could feel like I wasn't going to get lost and feel like a number or just get lost in the crowd. And Oakland was a great place for that because during the day, you've got your classes, you're walking around campus, there's tons of people around, at least when there's not a pandemic going on. And then, at night, you come back to your room, you have a really tight-knit group of people around you. The campus community is a lot smaller. Even on the weekends, it's a little bit smaller. So there's plenty of ways to get involved and ways to make good friends and lasting relationships when living on campus too. And students can live in one of our seven different residence halls or 2 student apartment complexes. You can find video tours for all of these at oakland.edu/housing. Some of the things around us in general, obviously, like I said, we are located pretty close to Detroit and Flint and some other, just that general metropolitan area. But in our immediate vicinity, there's a ton of little cool places around. There's downtown Rochester, which is that top right picture. It's a nice downtown area where students can go shopping, get food, do a lot of other things. We have plenty of nature, parks and trails all around. We even have a nature preserve on campus. We also have Meadowbrook Mansion, which is on campus. That center picture, that is actually the mansion of our founder, Matilda Dodge Wilson. She was married to one of the Dodge brothers, and that house is actually a National Historic Landmark and a museum that students can go into and tour all the time. So that's really cool. And then, of course, in non-pandemic times, we also have Meadowbrook Amphitheater, which is on campus. So it's a general concert venue that's used throughout the year, but we also, that students can go to at any time because it's on campus. It's maybe a 10-minute walk from most of the residence halls. But we also throw a spring concert there, or try to throw a spring concert there every spring, where a big name artist comes. We had Nick Jonas a couple years ago. We've had Kendrick Lamar, Drake, some other big name artists in the past. So a lot of cool opportunities and things for students to do on and off campus, just in the immediate vicinity, without having to take a car or get the bus or something like that. A couple of points of pride as we finish up here. We are the #1 safest public institution in the state of Michigan and top 5 in the country. We are also the #1 LGBTQ plus inclusive university in the state of Michigan, and we have plenty of different resources and initiatives that we offer for free on campus. So those are just a couple of things we're very proud of, at least for our student community. And we want to make sure that our student community is as represented and accommodated as possible, including with a lot of different resources and services that we offer fee-free to help students succeed academically, socially, physically, mentally. We want students to succeed, and we want them to grow as individuals, not just get their degree and leave, but create a better experience for them. College is a big part of your life, and it's a big investment. So we want to create that lasting impact on every student that comes through campus. And you can see some of the different services that we offer. I'm not going to go through all of them, but there are some really great ones, and every single one of them builds a great community for our students to be a part of. Of course, we are here to help. There's the QR code again, but my name is Drew again. I represent the entire state of Illinois for OU. So if you have any questions or anything, please feel free to reach out to me. My information is here, but you can easily find me on our website, oakland.edu/futurestudents. If you're interested in visiting campus, we do have some small campus tours going on, but we do have a lot of virtual events that we're holding right now for students to attend, to hear from a lot of different majors and areas on campus, and we have those throughout the year too. So feel free to go to oakland.edu/visit to see what opportunities that we have. Other than that, you can follow us on social media. We have post a lot of important dates coming up or events, news about campus, just a lot of different things about OU. But so you can follow us on Instagram, Facebook, or Twitter too. But that just about finishes up. I'll leave my contact information here. Of course, if you have any questions, please feel free to put those into the Q&A, and I will be happy to answer them out loud. If not, I hope you all enjoy the rest of your evening and take a moment to consider Oakland as a possibility and contact me if you would like to know more about us.
Thank you so much, Drew, and thank you so much to the students joining us today. Please note that when you close this window, there will be a link to a very quick 4-question survey, and we'd appreciate any feedback that you can provide us by filling out that survey. Also, just a quick note, this is one of the many sessions being hosted, so please be sure to sign up for additional sessions, and you can do that by visiting IACAC.org. In just about a week, you'll be able to find this session's recording as well as all of our other sessions recording at that same website. And again, it's IACAC.org. Thank you again for visiting with us today. Thank you to Drew for your wonderful presentation, and have a wonderful evening. Thank you.